Shakira's there.
What?
Oh,
And then
shit.
Akon.
What?
That's crazy.
And Red One, who's like Gaga's producer. First thing he talks me up and he goes like, "This guy can play whatever you want. Go ahead and try."
You're
it."
like, no, no.
I was like, "Oh, fuck me, man."
Welcome back to another episode of The Careful Boys. Hey, Ryan, you obviously were super number one in the world, professional dancer, supreme extraordinaire, season 1 inaugural, So You Think You Can Dance, champion, twice ABDC Emmy Award winning.
My God, you should introduce me every day.
I will. That being said, you made a decision eventually at some point in your career to kind of transition to mainly professional music now, because you don't dance anymore, and most of your larger scale projects or money making in general, is in music production or mixing or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
How did that transition happen for you?
Life after dance.
I think I would say there's like a soft transition era and there's like a hard one, but the soft one was I would say when Quest started working closely with LMFAO, and then I wanted to basically be doing music at that point, but I was all dance. All my responsibilities for the tour were just all dance related. And then at some point, it had already been maybe a year, I want to say, maybe a year and a half even, of working with them. But I never talked about music to LMFAO at all, really. Just because I didn't want to sound like another person that's like, "Hey, put me on, I do this." And then there's one point where I was just playing, I was practicing piano shit at the lobby of a hotel when we were in Spain. And then
Was food like, what? Is that you, Ryan?
yeah,
And he's at the bar who's the one playing piano?
And I didn't even do it that often, but then just that one time he happened to be coming down. It was during a day off. And then he was just like, "Oh, what the fuck?" And then we just started talking about music shit. And then he was just like, "Yo, come with me. I'm going to go to this studio session right now." And then that's when he brought me with him to the session that I thought it was going to be a normal thing. I've been with him in sessions before. I didn't think it was going to be a really major thing. But we go to this studio and it's fucking, first I see this guy, Martin Keisenbaum, who's the head of the label that, which is Cherry Tree label. That's the label that LMFAO is on, Far East Movement. He was in there and I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck? Martin's here? Damn." And then fucking Shakira's there.
What?
Oh,
And then
shit.
Akon.
What?
That's crazy.
And Red One, who's Gaga's producer.
That's
Yo.
crazy.
And then Fu and me. And that's it. And then he goes, the first thing he talks me up and he goes "This guy can play whatever you want. Go ahead and try
You're
it."
like, no, no.
I was like, "Oh, fuck me, man."
That's so sick, though.
Yeah, and then we just started.
What a cosign.
Did they
Yeah.
start trivia? You like, okay, now play this.
No, not really. They were just kind of like Shakira just started singing some random stuff, and then I just started backing it up. So it was very
Were you like,
simple.
"Oh my God, don't fuck up.
Because I just wanted to be as smooth as possible. Because whatever their workflow is, yeah, I'm I just don't want to get in the way of whatever the flow is. I don't want to be the one that they got to stop for. So I'm just whatever you're doing, I'm just gonna do it. If Red One says, "Let's try this," because they're already going. We walked in the middle of them working, so it's
Plus, if they're high up in the game, they've got to see 100 people that can play whatever.
yeah, there's probably a fucking million of me, and plus they don't even know how good I am. So it's they can't. There's nowhere to judge what they can say to me or not. So I'm just whatever they're doing, I'm just gonna keep on flowing and going, and then we just start catching on to oh, that's a good thing. What you just did, let's do that, and then we just made this whole thing. Long story short, it never went anywhere. Nothing left that room. Nothing ever got made or whatever, but it was a pretty thrown to the wolves experience with him. And then from that day, I think was the proof that I gave that I could actually be I guess employable in that way. So then
Like a session musician.
yeah, so then he started to let me in on sessions all the time. And then it wasn't until we were doing the American tour and I tore my ACL on stage and I was out from from dance, not permanently, but I was gonna be out for 9 months or so. So then I wasn't gonna be on tour anymore. I was just gonna be at home, and that's when Red Foo's like, hey, can you like help me with the? He's like, I want to start my own label, and I want to like get different artists signed under that label. So if while I'm away, if you could stay back and work with different artists that I'm interested in, and just develop them musically, he's like, that's the next goal.
Wow.
Yeah. So then I started doing that, where like he would not sign people, but he would be like interested in certain people, and then we would workshop them and stuff. That also didn't go anywhere.
How would you workshop or develop? Would you like try different sounds with them to see if anything would be like, oh, this would be good?
Right. Yeah. Basically play different stuff, record different stuff with them, and then just keep sending it to him, and be like, oh, how do you want to hear their voice? Like in what way? And then he'll tell me. Like, okay, let's just try that, and then I'll just go with that. Or I'll bring that artist into his studio in Hollywood, and we'll be like, all right, let's try these 3 different genres, or just try to follow along, or like we'll just work on what the tone sounds like. Just kind of, it's more of like trying to find out what kind of artist this person can be. But then he got so caught up with other stuff, we never launched the label or anything.
How do you think you would feel if you sent in a project and it was like you and Uncle Sam, Uncle Chin made this? What do you think about these guys?
I wish back then, I was more bold with suggestions. I was just so meek and like try not to step on anybody.
Just like a joke track that he gets to listen to, you know? And he's like,
This guy wasn't bold enough?
Not in that way. Not in that way. I didn't know how quickly someone could be like, oh, you're doing too much. So I wanted to be like very careful. But then by that point already, that was after the Spain stuff. So he had me do keyboards for.
When was this? Like
LMFAO.
2013, 14?
It was about 2011.
2011.
2011, 2012. And then once that happened, I'm like, once I got a taste of just being on stage, just doing keys, and I'm like, this is so much better than dancing the whole time.
What songs would you play like on stage?
I would play their whole set list.
Oh,
is it because
Whoa.
it's easier on the body, or like what did you like about it more than dancing?
It's easier on every part of me molecularly. Like, so like it's easier for my brain. I could basically turn my brain off and do it. With dance, my brain's like hyper mode where I'm like really focused. But with music, it's more like I just coast on the pocket. And I'm like, okay, I know what's gonna happen from here.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
And it's not like LMFAO songs are hard to play. So it's really
Does it have anything to do with like when you are the like main performer and the other one is more of like kind of like a backup role? Does that have to do with anything?
kind of. I think for music, it's like because I'm more confident that I'm more dependable musically than dance, to be honest, which I'm not like the biggest fuck up in dance, but I think I have a higher likelihood of messing up in dance than music. I just feel so comfortable. I'm like, there's no way I could fuck this up because it's like such elementary stuff based in my mind. I'm like,
because you have high risk moves that you were doing. With
yeah,
your
there's always a
flips and-
percentage of risk where
Yeah.
like today I may not hit it. But with music, it's the same thing like all the time, unless you're
Yeah.
freestyling, in which that's also, it's not like we're a jazz band. You know what I mean? We're playing pop songs. It's mad easy and it's just fun vibes.
You said that before you even like were caught in that hotel lobby and stuff like that, you had already thought about transitioning to music or just doing music, but like you were just maybe more, reserved and like bring it up. You didn't want to bring it up and stuff. But like, where was your mentality with that? Like, you always just knew you would eventually, and dance was just like this thing that heavily inserted itself into your career path for a short period of time.
I wanted to. I mean, I just didn't know how, and I was part of a lot of failed projects prior to that. So I just always felt like it was so difficult. Like, why spend time trying to make it in music, which is so fucking hard when like dance is right in front of me? It's like might as well just keep doing gigs. But there were a lot of things I was involved in that didn't take off, like a ton of stuff. Even I had soundtracked this entire video game that just got canned, like massively canned. And it was like I had done like 30 tracks for this thing, and then, and it like was supposed to be picked up by Sony, just fell through. And then I had a music partner way back in the day. We used to produce a bunch of shit together. I actually, if you go to like Arden Cho's YouTube, the first fucking thing she ever uploaded is like a song I made.
Oh wow.
And then he moved away, started doing music for like Asia, and now he lives here in Summerlin, which is crazy. But and then making like remixes and stuff was a thing that I was so good at, but I didn't know it had a niche. I didn't know there was like a place for that. I always thought it was like a novelty. It's like, oh, you do like cool remixes or mashups. That's cool. It doesn't really go anywhere. So then there wasn't really a place for that until eventually there was, which is where I am now. But at the time, it was just like a far-fetched ass dream. I'm like, there's no freaking way.
So you always wanted music, but then dance was there for you, and then you got your foot in the door in entertainment with that. But then so it's not something that you did after the fact. It's like you actually got to do what you want to do eventually.
Yeah, it's like that's what I want to do ultimately, but I just kind of accepted it's kind of a stupid thing because that's not what I'm famous for at all.
Music?
Yeah, but like at the time, dance was like there's opportunities left and right. There's like we can take this job, we can do that job, and that's mainly where any amount of reputation I ever had is basically in dance. So any music stuff I had is like a bonus, or it's a deep cut. If you know me, then you know that I'd like to do that. But the opportunities were never paid. Anything that came my way was not a paid job.
That's crazy because I think dance is one of the hardest places to make money in, and you found success there before music.
Yeah, I think it's way harder, but like just as luck would have it, we just landed at the right timing with dance. So it was able to live for a pretty good amount. But I was confident I couldn't stretch dance longer than I could music for sure. There's no way.
Oh.
Especially with the way I do it. I'm like, I'm not gonna be doing this shit in like 2 or 3 years.
So you knew that there was gonna be an out one day and it wasn't gonna be like a thing forever?
Yeah. And I think like once I started doing oddly enough, a person that kind of helped change my life in that way was Dante Bosco, because he was one of the first people that recommended me outside of the dance world to do music. Because most of the time, like I would make a lot of the mixes for Quest that we would dance to, and then sometimes I would make those same mixes for other teams or other like things. And then Dante had suggested me to the Olympic skaters because they were talking about like we need some kind of creative music for our next program, and then they were telling him about that, and then he was the one who said, "Oh, you know who could probably flip it and make it dope?" And then he suggested me, and that first project was the one where I did a Frank Sinatra Jay-Z program for the Olympic skaters, yeah, and then they competed with that, and then I think that helped me kind of like show like here's the application of how you could do such a thing,
the proof of concept,
right? And then from there, it just kind of like snowballed into other like harder projects. Like then there were like TV shows and then films. And then it was always, the niche was always, how do you like put an interesting flip on this thing? So it was never what I imagined would be like just me playing piano or some shit. But that definitely helped, but it was more along the lines of like unique remixes of existing songs.
How did Dante know that you did stuff like that?
I think because he knew that I made all the Quest mixes.
Oh.
So one of the things that Quest was like we had a lot of like signature things to our whole schematic, but like one of them was that we always danced to like unique stuff. Like it was always like a tailored mix with like remixes that were only we did them. And if you were like using the same one, it was probably from us kind of deal. And so it helped us because we kind of did a chicken or the egg scenario where like I'd make a mix, we would make a dance to it. And then once we see how the dance came out, I just do the mix over to match all the new ideas we had. So it looks like we did it that way from the beginning. Wow, and then that solution kind of, if you really think about it, really makes sense in film because they need a song to dance to. Yeah. They end up changing 50 fucking things as production goes. And then when post comes, you got to go back and redo it, sometimes in a different song entirely. For China, that was the story every day. Yeah. So it's like, you just always have to like fix all the fuck ups over and over and over. And I'm like, I didn't realize that I became like an expert at that specific thing. Yeah.
That's such a niche kind of skill that is like, if they seek you out, they're like, who's the master that does it? It goes, oh, I know a guy, but he's a dancer.
Yeah. It's a problem solving skill. But the funny thing is that I guess like because of my skill set of being able to quickly hear something and go, okay, that's this. Then I'm probably doing it faster than most people because I just see him move this thing, whatever. And if we need a melody on that part, then it's very obvious to me. But that's also bad because if I work fast enough, then I do more work. So I act like I take longer.
Yeah, you have to.
But yeah, that would be
so funny.
That would be where it really like changed, was getting injured and being forced to not be able to dance. But then thanks to Red Foo, like he gave me every opportunity that really like transitioned me fully into that line of work. just because like on a resume, it helps a lot to be like, yeah, I fucking played on a pop tour, like
That's
internationally.
insane, yeah.
You know, it shows that you're dependable in that way, and that, you know, they don't know looking at the resume that like, oh, I was a fucking dancer on there for years, and then music got added onto that. To them on paper, it just looks like, oh, you're the fucking keyboardist for this group that made millions of dollars. Yeah, fucking looks sick, you know.
And then they check up your name on Celebrity Net Worth, and
Yeah.
then you're a 10 millionaire,
And then I ended up doing
19 millionaire.
and then I ended up doing the fucking music directing for Paul Abdul tour, which was the same kind of thing where like the problem at hand was Paul Abdul's going to do another tour. She doesn't want it to sound like any of her old tours because it has to be like modern and different. So what's the spin you could put on it? So then that's, again, it's a very niche thing. It's like if you're an amazing musician, you might not be good at that. But then that's kind of right in the ballpark of everything I did.
You're a niche guy, man. You're highly proficient in two completely different skill sets.
I don't know, man. It's very, very fucking mega niche. So that means the sad thing that comes with that, it's a limited work placement supply. So I never know if next year I'll even have a job.
You need to start sabotaging other people's soundtracks. So then you're like the mafia where you create the problem and you also create the solution. You are the solution.
Yeah. But then the thing that hopefully with this next project that I'm doing now, which is that movie, which is going to be on Netflix this year. So and I can't really talk about it yet, but when it comes out, it'll be even cooler to talk about it so you can just watch it right away. But that is probably the hardest, like, I think in terms of what it is exactly I do, that's the best application, I think. Because it's absolutely that, 100%. It's take this song, maybe take 5 other songs, and make a fucking mixture of it, have it match so it looks intentional, and add soundtracking and scoring through the whole thing. And it was like,
wow,
the biggest fucking challenge. And it's been over a year that I've been on that now.
Damn. This guy won't stop, dude. Can't stop.
Hey, you make more money if they're indecisive, though. So
yeah, they make less money. And
actually,
do more
I don't
work.
want drums anymore.
Yeah, luckily I haven't run into that shit, but it's you know what it is mostly? It's that, oh, we can't use this song now.
Because they couldn't get it cleared or something?
That's the worst part, yeah. China had the worst version of that where they fucking played me like a fucking flute. They were like, so what happened is, this is going to sound really convoluted, but try to fucking keep up with it. So we end up with this fucking song that they want us to use, right? Just some regular song. And then the challenge is that we have to make a performance where the main dancer in this performance is like a really famous influencer in China. Her name's like Angela Baby or something. So she's like the Kim Kardashian, whatever. So they're like, we want her in this. She has to dance with a handicapped girl in a wheelchair, can't walk.
Fuck?
And then the challenge, they want her to look really good, but don't focus on the wheelchair girl because she's not the star. And then they add 12 other kids from a pop group, and they're like, but don't focus on them. Focus only on her. And then so I'm like, all right, I'll just make this fucking song that makes her look like a saint or whatever. And then we finish it. And then the night after that performance and everything's good to go, I get a call in the middle of the night and they're like, hey, so we need to change the song, but keep the exact performance. We're going to send it to you and just soundtrack the dance in the different song. And I was like, why the fuck? Why do we have to do that? And then they were like, oh, because the sponsor didn't approve the use of that song. Turns out the original song they gave me to use was the theme song to one of the sponsors of the TV show. So it's like, let's say there's like a Sparklets is a sponsor. You got to use a Sparklets song.
Yeah.
Because it's China, I didn't know that. I thought it was just a regular song. And they're like, yeah, they denied it. And I was like, okay, so then what do you want me to do? They're like, any song. It has to be done by 8 a.m.
Oh
I barely got in like at 1 a.m. So I spent all night putting a whole new song to it. Came out better than the original. And I was like, this is fucking amazing. I'm impressed by it. I turned it in. They go, okay, we're going to show it in the meeting. And everybody loved it so much. And he goes, yeah, but we're not using it. And I was like, why did I do all that shit?
What are they going to use?
So I was used as a leverage against the sponsor because they didn't want to pay the rights to use the sponsor song because they were supposed to pay extra, I guess, to use it. but the show didn't want to pay. So they were like, all right, well then we're gonna show you that if we don't use your songs, it'd be even better.
Oh.
So they went back to the original because they were just using me as a way to leverage against them.
Did they at least pay you for it?
I was on salary,
Oh,
so it didn't matter.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was fucked, bro.
That's why I love Chinese people.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense.
Dude,
me just
don't
use
you
you.
feel the pain of that?
All the time.
but at least they told
Yeah.
you the truth.
Well, they told me after the fucking season was done.
Oh, we just use it for leverage, bro.
Yeah, they said the whole thing. They said the whole show is leverage. That's most people were just doing shit like for whatever happens in the meeting room.
I just want to show you how big my dick is. That's all.
Yeah, that was a low freaking blow, man.
Damn, that's fucking
I'd be
crazy.
so mad.
Yeah, but that's when your niche gets used as leverage.